Good morning, students. This is Gnanasekar. Today I am going to talk about servlet and JSP. What is servlet and what is JSP? So, first of all, I am going to discuss about servlet. What is servlet? Servlet is nothing but it is a Java code that run in a server applications. Hence, it is called as servlet. Okay, sometimes servlet is called as HTTP servlet. Why it is called as HTTP servlet? The most commonly used for client server communication with HTTP protocol. Hence, sometimes called as HTTP servlet. Okay, that is asked using there are two names. One is servlet, otherwise HTTP servlet. So what are the advantage of servlet? Servlet is the object-oriented programming language that is using the Java. Okay, servlet is a Java code. Okay, it is an object-oriented programming language. Servlets are platform independent. Okay, similarly Java, it is a platform independent language. Okay, servlet are scalable and portable. Okay, these are the advantage of servlets. Second one is how servlet works, otherwise the architecture of the servlet. Okay, the first point, the client enters the URL in the web browser and makes a request. Okay, this is the first step. The browser generate the HTTP request and that request will be sent into the web server. So the second step, the web server first find the servlet request and build the web pages. Okay, after creating the web pages, the server sent the response to the client. Okay, this the web pages is then displayed to the client. Okay, this is the basic working principle of servlets. Okay, next one is the servlet classes. Okay, the servlet packages. Okay, this is the advanced version of Java. It is a Java code. Okay, it's a servlet packages on having there are two classes. Okay, the one first class is generic servlet. The second class is HTTP servlet. So what are the difference between the generic servlet and HTTP servlet? Okay, already told. They create the communication between the client and the server using the protocol. Okay, if it is using the HTTP protocol, that servlet is called as HTTP servlet. Okay, using for the class HTTP servlet class. Okay, otherwise create the communication between the client and the server except HTTP protocol. Otherwise, you can use any other protocol. Go for the generic servlet classes using for the generic servlet classes. Okay, so servlet classes there are two classes. One is generic servlet, another one is HTTP servlet. Okay, depends upon the protocol for using for creating the communication between the client and the server. You can choose the appropriate servlet classes. Okay, so next one is the methods. Okay, so generic servlet, there are already told there are two classes. One is generic servlet classes, another one is HTTP servlet classes. Okay, generic servlet classes on the class having only one method. The method is called as service of method. Okay, this is the syntax is given for the service of method. Syntax is given. Okay, service of method within the bracket you have to use servlet request, then refer the create the object for the servlet request and create the object for the servlet response that will be through the servlet exceptions and IO exception also. Okay, this is the syntax for creating the service of method. If you are using the HTTP servlet class, there are many method is there. Okay, for example, here only I am mentioning there are two methods. One is to get, another one is to post method. Okay, the syntax of the to get and to post method is given here. Here only you have to using for creating the object of the HTTP servlet request as well as the HTTP servlet response. Okay, this is the simple servlet programming for display the hello world. Okay, the first three steps is nothing but it is a very important step. You have to importing the necessary packages. Okay, I already told it is a advanced Java, so that's why using for Java X extension version of Java. Okay, so first line is nothing but the import the Java IO packages. Next one is importing the servlet packages. Third line importing the servlet.http all packages. Using for the star is nothing but you have to import all the packages under the all the classes and the interfaces under the packages. Okay, the second step, you have to create the appropriate class. The class should be extends appropriate any one of the servlet classes. If you are using for creating the communication between the client and the server using for HTTP protocol, your class must be extends HTTP servlet. Otherwise, using some other protocol, your class must be extends generic servlet. Okay, after that, you have to choose the appropriate method. Here I am using the method is called as toGet method. Okay, after that, inside the method, I am using, first of all, you have to create the set the content type with respect to the object of the HTTP servlet response. Okay, next line, you have to create the object for the print writer method. Okay, these are the steps are common for every servlet programming. After that, you have to write the programming to display the hello world. Okay, this is the servlet programming for display the hello world. Next one is go for the JSP. JSP is nothing but it is a Java server page. It is a text-based document that describes how to process a request and how to create a response. Okay, that is called as JSP. Okay, that is also run on the server side only, but on it is not a purely Java coding. It is a mixed. It is a combination of HTML and Java coding. Okay, so JSP is a alternate way of creating the servlet. Okay, similar to the servlet. Servlet is a purely Java coding, but the HTML should be right inside the Java, but on here the Java code should be right inside the HTML. That's why it's called as JSP. These are the difference between the servlet and the JSP. So third point, the JSP is written as original HTML with little bit Java mixed in. That is called as JSP. That is a servlet means servlet written the original Java file and with little bit HTML will be mixed in it. Okay, that is called as servlet. Okay, here only it is already told JSP is written as a original HTML, the little bit Java mixed in. How it is mixed in into the HTML page? Okay, using for the special tags such as this tag is mentioning here using for the percentage symbol less than or greater than symbol and the percentage symbol. Okay, so the file extension of the JSP file is .jsp. Okay, the Tomcat server. Okay, this is if you want to execute the JSP, otherwise servlet you need the server. Okay, server, there are two kinds of server. One is application server, another one is web server. Okay, Tomcat is a web server. Web server having the web containers. Okay, web container is nothing but web containers hold all the packages about the servlet and JSP. So application server there are two containers. One is web container, another one is application container. That is called as execute for EJB. Okay, enterprise Java bean. Okay. Next, the architecture of the JSP. Okay, here the client makes a first step, client makes a request. Okay, the web browser create the request. The request will be sent to the server. The request JSP request sent to the server. That is the second step. So in JSP request sent to the in the server, the JSP request is sent to the JSP servlet engine. Okay, the inside the JSP servlet engine first parse the JSP file. Okay, parsing the JSP file. Okay, after that the JSP file is converted into the servlet source code, that is generate the servlet source code. Okay, the JSP file is converted into the Java file. Okay, the .jsp file will be converted into the .java file, that is called as generate the servlet source code. After generating the servlet source code, you have to compile the servlet source code into the compile the servlet source code, you will get the class file. Okay, that is very important. Okay, JSP container that execute the servlet class file, that is called as execute the servlet class file. Okay, after that a request page is then written to the client as a response. Okay, that is called as JSP architecture. Then how will you execute the servlet file using the Tomcat? First of all, I'm going to install the Tomcat. Okay, the Tomcat. Okay, so this is the installation of the Tomcat. You have to select the I agree button, then click the next button. Then here you have to choose all the menu, normal menu of the Tomcat. Then select next. Then you have to choose the destination folder. After choosing the destination folder to be installed, then click the next button. Here, this is the configuration of the Tomcat. So username is admin. You have to enter the password is also admin. After entering the password, you have to go to click the next button. Okay, then you have to select the Java virtual machines. Okay, already installed in your system. You have to select the Java virtual machine. So click the button install. Okay, so Tomcat will be installing. Okay, after that, click the finish button. Tomcat installation is over. Okay, this is the way for installing the Tomcat. How will you execute the servlet file using the Tomcat? Okay, so open in the notepad, type the servlet file. So save this file with respect to the class name. What is the class name is here? My underscore servlet dot java. Okay, so you have to save it. Okay, after that you have to compile this file, you will get the class file. Okay, so copy that class file, then go to the Apache software foundations, Tomcat 5.5, web apps, then servlet examples, then webinf, then classes. Okay, inside the classes folder you have to paste your compiled class file, Java class file. You have to paste it. Okay, so after that go back, so edit the web.xml file here. So your class name, your servlet name is my servlet. The servlet class name is also my servlet. Then servlet mapping. So servlet name is also my servlet. URL pattern. Okay, this is URL pattern. You have to execute the servlet. Okay, I'm using the slash servlet slash my underscore servlet. After editing the web.xml, you have to save the file. Then start the server, go to the URL, type localhost colon 8080. Okay. Okay. After that, this is the URL you have to give it. You will display the output. Okay. This is the output of the servlet. Okay. Thank you, students.